Good afternoon, welcome back to another little video. Glorious day outside. This is Sunday, 20th, 21st October, I can't remember. It's a great day after all the crap weather we've had this week, and I'm pleased to say that I think I'm finally shaking off that COVID bug that I had the last couple of weeks. It's still lingering a bit, still a bit of a pain, but yeah, I'm feeling better. Feel up to doing stuff today. So today, first off, introduce you to a little acquisition for the brewery. A pump truck here, picked that up this morning. That was interesting, trying to get that in the back of my car. I've only got a little Cactus C4, so I had to drive all the way back from Stowmarket where I picked it up with the boot tied down with a piece of string and this thing hanging out the back. So that made for an interesting trip. Quite a steady, slow journey, I must admit. And trying to get that out of the boot by myself, I wouldn't recommend it. That thing is damn heavy. Anyway, it's here, so that's going to be a handy bit of kit. Because pretty much when I move these tanks, there's probably only going to be me doing it. My kids are certainly not strong enough. My other half won't have a chance of doing this. So I needed some way of being able to move these tanks around from time to time. So a pump truck will do the job, I think. I'm going to have to create some kind of cradle to go into the tanks, but that's not a big issue. I'll probably fashion something out of a bit of timber that'll be a bit kinder on the steel on the tanks. And that'll just be handy for getting them out when I do maintenance and the various projects that are coming up on the tanks. So what we're going to do today is focus on the electrics. I've made a decision. Last time I was thinking about where to do it, where to put various things. I've made a decision, and pretty much what I decided before. So, control box for the HLT will go on the far wall. The kettle here will be supplied by the consumer unit, which is going to go pretty much where that water filter is. So that's going to come out, and then we'll have a run of sockets around the wall, and then we'll have 4 fuse spurs to supply the elements on the kettle. So I'll take you through what I've got, what you need for this job, and we'll go from there. So here's what we've got. This is laid out pretty much as it's going to be, just the other way around on the wall. But anyway, we have a consumer unit in which we have got 2 32 amp breakers, 4 16 amp breakers, and a main breaker for the feed coming in. 1 32 amp is going to go onto this ring of sockets that are going to go around the wall. The other 32 is going to power the HLT control box over there, which is running a 5.5 kilowatt element, so somewhere around about 23 and a bit amps. The 4 16 amp breakers are going to run the 4 fused 13 amp spurs here through these sockets, which are pins not exposed, female basically. Was it male? Can't remember which it is. Anyway, it just means they're safe. It means you can't get your fingers in. You can't electrocute yourself. Those will connect up to the connectors on the elements. Each one of these fuse spurs has got neons, so I'll know which elements are on at any given time. And I think, as Andy pointed out in one of his videos, it's 25% a fuse spur in terms of power. So 25, 50, 75, 100% power. Fairly simple. I do have the bits and pieces for a control box, which I might do in time, but I think Andy got on quite well with his setup, so I'm going to see how I run with it. It's quite simple, fairly straightforward. Tools that you're going to need, those bits you need. You'll need some brass ferrules, connecting these couplers down onto the sockets here, so going in through the knockouts. So there'll be one of these directly connected to this, and then these will be connected in series to each other. And I'll run some conduit between them once I figured out where they're all going. Got some 2.5mm cross section immersion heater cable here. There'll be about 2 meters of cable per fuse spur. That should get me enough to get to each element with plenty of slack and no tightness on the cable. Tools you're going to need: wire stripper. This is an automatic wire stripper, pretty handy. Roll plugs, fixing in the wall. Flange head screws, self tappers, couple of screwdrivers, good knife, pencil, tape measure, drill bits, driver bits, a 6mm masonry bit for the plugs, and a drill. That's about everything I need for this job. In terms of mounting this on the wall, centre line of the switches between 1350 and 1400mm from the floor. I will set this one up the same. This one has a PID controller on it, so I'll be able to control the temperature. This also has a emergency cutoff, neon, for telling me what's going on, and an inline fuse. I will, at some point, attach a timer to this, so I'll be able to have this thing turn on early hours of the morning, get the water nice and hot, ready for brewing first thing in the morning. That'll be another little project once I've got this thing up on the wall. So that's everything that I need for this job. I'm going to get cracking and get things moved. So the first thing I've got to do is move the water filter off the wall. See you in a bit. So a quick update on where we are on the electrics. So consumer units in. Just here, socket in, and the 4 fuse spurs for the elements in. One handy thing, a couple of comments on this consumer unit. It's pretty good, quite robust. One handy feature is it has a built-in spirit level, which I didn't realise, so I took the cover off. So that's pretty good. And one other thing worth noting, I've got this thing on a coupler here, which is going into a brass ferrule both inside there and there. There's a bit of an offset from the centre of that knockout to the centre of the knockout on this socket. So I ended up having to bash this back quite a bit to get this socket closer to the wall. Not really a massive issue. It's perfectly secure and stable, should be fine. So just to point out what the circuit breakers are going to do. So this 32 amp here is going to go to the line of socket. So we'll start here. We'll come out the knockout here, and we'll go along in some conduit, some metal conduit. I haven't quite figured out where the other plugs are going to go yet. I'll figure that out as and when I lay the brewery out. But they're going to come off this spur here and go around the 2 walls of the brewery, leading down to the HLT. The HLT is going to come off this 32 amp breaker here, and that'll run on a separate cable out and along and into the control box for the HLT. And then we've got the 4 16 amps here, which are going to power the 4 fuse spurs here. So coming along nicely. Next job, put the HLT box up. Right, catch up to where we're at. So all done. First socket on the wall, consumer unit on the wall, all in. A couple of blanks. I've got some plates for those, but I need to have a few spare spaces just in case I need them. So 4 13 amp fuse spurs, which these will be connected to, and they will trail off behind the fermenter, and they will connect to the elements via these plugs here. These are 16 amp plugs, 13 amp fuse, so that should be okay. And then on the wall over here, we've got the chassis for the HLT box. One thing I'll say about this box, they're fine, these are project boxes, they're fine. But getting the screws down into the deep recesses in the corners is an absolute pain in the arse. But just takes a bit of fiddling, but not ideal. One thing I did forget to mention, on the 13 amp fuse spurs that are going to the kettle, there are going to be some of these glands that go on. So there'll be one on the top of the fuses coming in from the consumer unit, and one out at the bottom going off to the elements in the kettle. So pretty much there. I just need to get the electrician in at some point. Matt, that's a call out to you. Matt's also got an interesting channel. He's a craft beer reviewer. Give him a check out. I think it's a craft beer channel. But he's been here once before, and it was a smaller brewery. But I'm going to get him. He knows. I flagged it up to him the other day. He knows I'm going to get him down to look at the electrics in this place to get it all commissioned and wired up. So that's it for now. I'm going to think about what the next job's going to be. It's probably going to be the RO filter, which is going to go somewhere over here. Not quite sure yet. I need to figure that one out. It may go on this wall over here, because I have mains cold feed just there. So that wouldn't be a bad shout. And then it can run up and over the top. That socket's going, by the way, don't worry about that. Over the top, and then I can feed directly into the HLT, which, if I remember rightly, can't remember where the port is, but I think I'll find it. So yeah, that's it for now. Hope this has been mildly informative. This is not a guide on how to do it, by the way. I'm not a trained electrician, but I'm perfectly capable of putting boxes on a wall. All the serious electrical stuff, all the stuff that needs to be commissioned and signed off, will be done by a qualified electrician, not me, because I'll probably end up electrocuting myself before I even get going. So that's it for now. Hopefully I'll get something loaded up pretty soon. If not, I'll catch you all later. Bye bye.